Hello, in this video we'll be looking at Bhagavad Gita Chapter 2 verse 9. I'll read it first without the text up in front of you and then with it. Evamuktva hrishikeshang gudakeshah parantapaha nayotsya iti govindumuktva tushnim babhuva. Now bring up the text. Here we are. Enlarge it. Evamuktva hrishikeshang gudakeshah parantapaha nayotsya iti govindamuktva tushnim babhuva. So the subject of the sentence, there's a subject here and an object. You can tell which is which because the subject is in the nominative. That's the gudakesha parantapa, two separate compounds, descriptive compounds, used to indicate Arjuna, and Hrishikesham and Govindam, both in the accusative, to indicate the object of the speech, the person spoken to, who is Krishna. So Gudakesha and Parantapaha are both epithets of Arjuna, and Hrishikesha and Govinda are both epithets of Krishna. So evam uktva, thus having spoken, Hrishikesham, to Hrishikesha. Note that in Sanskrit, verbs of speaking, talking to, although in English we tend to think of it as a dative, you're talking to somebody, saying something to somebody. These verbs take an accusative, and in Pali as well. So thus having spoken Hrishikesham, accusative to Hrishikesha. Now Gudakesha and Parantapaha. Gudakesha is one of these, is an epithet of Arjuna. Guda actually means a ball, as in a ball of something. So, and Kesha means hair. So Gudakesha literally means ball hair. So it means somebody's got a thick head of hair, like a ball, is literally what it means. And Parantapaha, the enemy scorcher, the enemy burner. The word para means other, or means several things. One of them is other, and it often means, as here, other in the sense of enemy. And the root tap, to burn, it is enemy burner, so the scorcher of enemies, one who inflicts utter defeat on the enemies. Note that in these compounds, normally it's only the last word that is declined. In several compounds, it's a significant number. It's a small minority, but a significant number of them. You will find that the first member, or a member before the last, is in fact declined. You actually typically find it, not always by any means, but you typically find it where you have, let's just look at parantapa. You see, you've got para, other, plus the root tap, and let's make a noun out of it, tapa. You could have had paratapa, but what happens, an accusative ending has slipped in, so it becomes parantapa. it could have been Paratapa just as well. You actually often find this phenomenon occurring where you have a, a compound of two elements that would all otherwise have been four short syllables, and especially where the second one begins with a dental. For example, um, when I'm looking at a Pali one now, the same principle applies. Jyoti is light, and Dhara is bearer or holder. It's regarded as it's a monastic name among the Theravadins, the bearer of light. Literally translated as Lucifer, of course, but it has an entirely benevolent and good connotation. But the name comes out as Jutindharo, not Jutidharo, which would have been linguistically correct, but it's Jutindharo. Maybe it just sounds better. And Parantapa sounds better than Paratapa. Another, and again, I'll give you a Pali example of a declined non-final member. That's where you get a compound where a member of the compound other than the final is declined. Is, for example, paying attention. Manasikara. You often find this in the Buddhist text. Manasikara, paying attention to something. That e there is in fact the locative ending. You would normally have, especially manokara or manakara, have manasikara. So just bear in mind the general rule that where you have a compound of several members, only the last member normally declines, but you do occasionally find that the non-final member is put in the same case that it would have had if the compound had been split up. So he defeats the enemy, parantapati. So enemy defeater, enemy burner, normally paratapa, but here parantapa. So eva muktva Hrishikesham, having thus spoken to Hrishikesha. Hrishika, I've actually done a note on this in the explanatory lexicon that I will call up for you. Explanatory glossary, where have I put it? 824. Bear with me. Hrish. Yes, the root hrish. It's a parasmay and atmane pillar verb. Harshati or harshate, to be excited or impatient or to rejoice. Often used about bristling up as the hairs of the body with excitement or joy. Not necessarily joy, it can be by fear as well. So the Roma Harsha, let's split this word into Roma Harsha. The Roma is the hairs, the shorter hairs, like the hairs on the hand or the hairs on the back of the neck. So Roma Harsha, the bristling of the hairs, can be caused. Caused by fear or joy or any kind of strong emotion. Now we've got the word hrishika, which means a sense, as in the senses of the body. Now, I don't know, I might find out with more research, but I don't know why from this root hrish, meaning to bristle up as the hairs of the body, with the ika, hrishika, means senses, but there it is, I just have to accept it at the moment. And the hrishika isha, the lord of the senses, that's the lord of our human life, really, becomes by regular sandhi, Hrishika Isha becomes Hrishikesha. Note that it's on the face of it nothing to do with the town of Rishikesh in the upper reaches of the Ganges. Some people have suggested it is in fact the same word. It's just a corruption of this epithet of Krishna, Hrishikesha. Rishikesh. Anyway, that's just I'm happy to leave that as an open discussion at the moment. The answer is I just don't know, but on the face of it, it seems not. So this now is just Rishikesha, the Lord of the Senses. Back to our, here we are. So, Gudakesha, the ball-haired, the Parantapa, the enemy scorcher, the scorcher of enemies. Having thus evam uktva, having thus spoken to Rishikesha, notice now, of course, Rishikesha in the accusative is the object of the verb uktva. Nayutsya iti, and the iti unquote. Govindam uktva. So the uktva, there are two uktvas here. So the first uktva, evam uktva, thus having spoken, that refers to what has been spoken before this verse. But the second uktva, nayotsya iti govindam uktva, I shall not fight, iti unquote. Govindam uktva, to Govinda having said. So he spoke. So Gudakesha Parantapa, Eva Mukdva, having spoken thus, that means as in the previous verses to Hrishikesham, Uktva, and having said to Govinda, Nayotsye, I shall not fight, Tushnim Babhuva. This word Tushnim, it's an indeclinable. It is most commonly found in conjunction with the verb bhu, to be. It means to be silent or to fall silent. Here we have babhuva, which is the reduplicated perfect tense from bhu. In fact, it's slightly irregularly formed. You would have expected to see it from bhu babhava, but it's not. It's babhuva, which incidentally is one of the very rare reduplicated perfect forms that's found in Pali, by way of a later importation from Sanskrit. It's not native to Pali. So tushnim babhuvaha. The ha is a particle that doesn't really add anything to the meaning. It might add a sense of finality to it, but like many of these particles, this one may have been put in because an extra syllable was needed in this verse. The verb yud. Let me give you the iPad again. Yud means to fight. It's an atmanepada verb. Now, as you know, many futures make the mark of the future by ishya, like bhavati is, bhavishyati will be. In many cases, the sya or ishya ending is added without this intervening vowel I there. Yud is one of those. So what happens here? And it's an atmanepada verb, so it's not yotsyami, but yotsye. So we make the guna, yud, plus sye. That's the atmanepada form from parasmaipada, bhavami, atmanepada, bhave. All of this is fully explained for you and demonstrated at Macdonnell in the verb tables. Look into the simplest verb table at pages 92 and 93. So look at the one at 92, the present tense, first class of bhu. I'm looking at the book now, inviting you to look at it. Macdonell, page 92. Look at the first singular at the top left of the table, bhavami. That's for the parasmaipada. But for the atmanepada, it's bhave, just as you get bhavati, bhavate, you get bhavami, bhave. These same endings apply across the future, the mark of the future being the inserted sya or ishya. So here in the verb yud, from the root yud, it's you could see either yud hishye, which you don't in fact find. So if somebody wrote it, would be perfectly understood. It's written without the intervening I, and so it's yud sie. By internal sandhi, the d before the s becomes a t, so that accounts for the yotsie. Nayotsie, I will not fight. The next thing to note here is that we see in the text with the sandhi, applying sandhi, nayotsya iti, not nayotsie iti, but nayotsya iti. If you look at it with the sandhi taken out in the here we are, where I'm highlighting now, without the sandhi, nayutsie, on its own, nayutsie iti. Actually, I've left the sandhi out in there as well. Put it back in. Sorry, taken the sandhi out. Nayutsie iti with sandhi vigraha, but correctly applying sandhi, nayutsia iti. This is regular sandhi, a final a before a following short ah. The a stays and the short ah drops, but before any other vowel, as here nayotsie iti, the a becomes ah, and that's the only sentence. So nayotsia iti. So this explains nayotsia iti. I shall not fight, and iti, of course, being the unquote marker. Tushnim, so uktva, nayotsie iti uktva, with sandhi nayotsie ityuktva, means having said to Govinda, I shall not fight, tushnim babhuva. We missed out the ha here. He fell silent. We have missed out ha, keep missing it out. You'll find an explanation of this reduplicated perfect at Macdonell, paragraph 135, which is at, let me find it for you, paragraph 135, which is on page 108. Normally, for these reduplicated perfects, we have the guna uvriddhi of the root and the reduplication of the first syllable. The rule is given in the paragraph that I'm talking about. From the root bhu, the vriddhi would be bhau, and bhau plus a by internal sandhi would become ava. So that's why if this were regular, you would have found babhava, but by an irregularity, it's in fact babhuva. And as I said earlier, you get a survival of this in Pali as well. If you look at paragraph 139 in Macdonell, that's starting at page 115, for irregularities. If you look at 139.7 at the top of page 116, you see the irregularity of babhuva, and you see it fully declined there. Maybe well to learn that because it's a very common verb, as many of these irregular verbs are. So I'll just go through this once more briefly. Eva Muktva, thus having said, Hrishikesham, to Hrishikesha, then the subject of the sentence, the double subject here, Gudakesha Parantapa, bull-haired, and foe destroyer or foe burner, both in the nominative. Nayotsya iti Govinda muktva, I shall not fight, unquote, to Govinda, having said, Tushnim babhuva, literally he was silent, we'd say he fell silent. And this word tushnim, as I said, it doesn't decline, so it's always tushnim, and mostly, maybe always, I can't quite remember, certainly all the times I can think of, it's used in conjunction with the word bhu, to be, meaning to be or to fall silent. One last thing, Govinda, Krishna has so many epithets, many of them derived, well, most of them, I would say, derived from how Krishna appears in the literature, in the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, all the descriptions of Krishna given. And this one, Govinda, it survives in English almost unchanged. It literally means cow finder, Govinda, cow finder, from one of the legends about Krishna, in which I don't really know it offhand, but somebody needed to find the cow or the cows, and it was Krishna who did it. So he's the cow finder. Incidentally, this go, cognate with our modern English cow, and the verb vind, cognate with our modern English find. The word vind is originally probably a parallel root with vid, meaning to know or to see. You can see what the semantic overlap there is. If you know something, you see it, you can find it. So I will read this through again. Evam muktva hrishikeshang gudakeshah parantapaha nayotsya iti govindamuktva tushnim babhuvaha. And once more. Evam muktva hrishikeshang gudakeshah parantapaha nayotsya iti govindamuktva tushnim babhuvaha. Correct that last mistake there as well. Boom. Right, and that's it on this video.